I walked into a travel agency to buy a ticket to the next city. An older woman followed me, waiting at the desk beside me, only leaving after the lady behind the counter read out my flight details and times. I'd gotten used to a tag team following me. I didn't know if they were helping me or hindering, but I couldn't shake them. In my dream, a couple show me their new baby, and the right arm is all black and shriveled. I point this out, but they don't see any problem with the arm, and I'm wondering why they can't see how bad the arm looks. While going through customs, I was scolded by an official who was examining my paperwork. He pointed out where I had not signed the declaration that I wasn't a terrorist. I was surprised that I'd missed it. "Just typical of all Australians," he said, looking annoyed. When he finished examining and re-examining my paperwork, he lifted his right arm high and rested it on the plastic shield as he told me I could pass. On his finger he wore a large signet ring. In the plane, I sat next to a lady who looked to be in her late 30s and continuously wanting to talk, despite my obvious reluctance. "Are you nervous travelling?" she asked. "Worried the plane might crash?" "Not really," I said. "I could easily slip over and break my neck just walking down the footpath." I turned to look out the window. A little later, when the meals were served, she was discussing her diet, and I mentioned a celebrity chef I liked. Soon after I landed, I heard on the news that the celebrity chef I'd mentioned had tripped and hit his head and died. I imagined that someone had pulled a tripwire across his path. The voice was louder than ever. The same voice that had said it's not real and it's only a test was now telling me that the killing was my fault. The show that was my life had obviously made it through to a new season. I go and check on the bath I am running. As I look, though, I see there is no plug and the water is running out the drain as fast as the tap is running. I caught a flight to the next city with a layover on the way. The in-flight entertainment was a movie where the mobsters kidnap a woman and strap a bomb around her. In the movie, the woman is sent into a public square and made to sing "Pop Goes the Weasel," until finally the bomb blows up on the word pop. After landing, I was walking through the airport to the next gate when I heard someone whistling from behind. A man was walking directly behind me now and whistling the tune "Pop Goes the Weasel." He kept whistling it over and over as he followed me down the long airport corridor. Eventually I slowed down and let him pass. He was tall and young with a shaved head. He stopped and went over to a counter to buy coffee. I followed right behind him, and he turned around and stared at me, agitated. "Please go ahead," I said. "I am right behind you." A few nights later I heard that a 4-year-old girl had been kidnapped. Her first name was Fiona. Then a few days later they announced that they'd found her murdered and cut up into little pieces. The media blew up the story as a sex crime, and they used it as leverage to talk about political issues regarding sex offenders. I caught the subway down to the police department and asked to talk to the detective. "This was not a sex crime," I said. "Why, what do you know?" he asked. "It's related to me, to control me, and it's working, and I need your help," I said. "Look," he said, "I'm sorry, I have a lot on my plate right now. If it's not to do with the crime, then I really don't have time to hear it," he said. I caught another flight. Shortly afterward, an Australian woman the same age as me was attacked on another flight with a wooden stake. Then a week after arriving in that city, another 4-year-old girl was killed, stabbed to death with a knife. Her last name was linked to the other little girl. While waiting for a ferry, I was lining up, and a man in front of me in the line turned around to face me and sneered. I dropped back away from him further in the line. When I boarded the ferry, I found my own corner inside and stared out over the water through the glass. Outside, a woman walked past me with the cover of a book pointed to face me, the title, "Scaredy Cat." What did these people expect when they destroy the very fabric of what it means to be human? If this was simply about being ridiculed, I'd pass the test, so why was I such a problem anymore? I was still wearing my red cap around town over those weeks, and a band of red-capped soldiers fighting for that country were ambushed in Iraq also.